A true friend is one who remains loyal through good times and bad, who knows and values you for who you truly are. Allow friendship to blossom where there is mutual understanding, not fleeting pleasure or gain. Between true friends resides a lasting wealth of spirit that no money can buy. For in today's video, we will discuss certain traits that people will display if they are in lack of proper friendships or have few friends of low quality. Thank you for watching and welcome on this journey of unveiling life's questions through the Stoic lens. Number 1. Are shy or introverted? Their introversion makes small talk with strangers feel awkward and draining, which limits networking opportunities. Group settings overwhelm them with social anxiety about saying the wrong thing or not fitting in, so they often choose solitary activities over social gatherings, even if deep down they long for meaningful connections. For shy individuals, the vulnerability required in new relationships activates primal alarm bells and self-judgment. Past rejection or bullying may also haunt them, whispering lies that they are unlikable or unworthy of belonging. So isolation feels like a protective shield, even while yearning for affectionate community underneath their armor. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely said, "Be wary of the man who urges an action in which he himself incurs no risk." Shy people feel plenty at risk in social terrain where extroverts thrive. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is feeling the fear yet still stepping forward. And there are mindful ways for introverts to stretch beyond their comfort zones to foster rewarding bonds without betraying their nature. The garden of friendship offers vibrant harvest for gentle cultivators too. So while shyness may explain some solitary tendencies, the signs above suggest more complex limitations requiring compassion plus accountability. If someone desires more friends, they must bravely plant seeds through small talk, listening deeply and speaking openly while nurturing blossoms with patience. For lasting flowers may arrive later for the shy, though sown as lovingly. Number 2. Have social anxiety. For them, the thought of conversations with strangers or attending events full of unfamiliar faces causes pounding hearts, sweaty palms, and panicked thoughts of embarrassing themselves. Their mind races imagining being judged as awkward, boring, or even disliked if they put themselves out into uncomfortable social terrain. So while craving the joy and support of meaningful friendships, their anxiety triggers fight or flight instincts, urging them to avoid vulnerable situations full of unpredictable interactions and expectations. Instead, they retreat from potential rejection and ridicule, which feels emotionally unsafe. Days become dominated by hyper-focusing on fears rather than taking chances connecting with others. However, the Stoic philosophers emphasize that we suffer more in imagination than reality. Avoidance and isolation tend to exacerbate anxiety over time rather than soothe it. Stepping courageously past limiting comfort zones can unlock truer potentials for contentment and belonging. This certainly holds true in the social realm. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If anxiety has narrowed life's pathways, compassionate self-reflection and strategizing can help map alternate routes toward community. Perhaps joining low-pressure social clubs, volunteering for cherished causes, or scheduling one coffee date per month with a workshop buddy. Little seeds of engagement may blossom into flowering friendships in due time. With wisdom and persistence, social obstacles truly can become opening doors rather than barriers trapping vitality. Number 3. Are in a different environment. Uprooting one's whole life and starting completely afresh socially takes tremendous courage, resilience, and patience during a major transitional chapter. In the early weeks or months after a big move, the priority is often finding housing, employment, establishing daily routines, and adjusting to an unfamiliar culture or landscape. Meanwhile, pangs of loneliness may arise from not yet knowing the locales where kindred spirits congregate or having a comforting community to rely upon when challenges emerge. Feelings of isolation are normal givens, not reflections of one's likability or worth. As the Roman Stoic Seneca wrote, "Be wary of the man who urges an action in which he himself incurs no risk." Those assuming new environments inherently risk lost security and old support systems, but from such leaps of faith, awakened independence and unexpected camaraderie between fellow transplants can blossom in time. Rather than harsh self-judgment over a currently quiet social life in unfamiliar terrain, Extend compassion and curiosity while slowly exploring local offerings that spark joy and interest. The cruise, relationships, and adventures meant to unfold will do so even amid early solitude. Trust that taking small social steps consistently lays the groundwork for fulfilling bonds awaiting just around the river bend. Beating oneself up over temporary loneliness serves no one. Patient cultivation and care will soon harvest new laughter and embraces as your new community recognizes their kindred spirit has arrived. Number 4. Have unique interests. Maybe they obsess over antique fountain pens, competitive insect breeding, cryptozoology, or collecting ancient coins. Or perhaps they adore reading existential philosophy, studying obscure folk music, and attending silent foreign films. While intrigued by such unusual focal points, the average person is unlikely to share these eccentric preoccupations. As a result, those with more idiosyncratic tastes often lament having no one who gets them enough to geek out with or attend their preferred events. Well-meaning friends may humor these wild-haired enthusiasms for a time, but lack context to feel any visceral thrill discussing the intricacies endlessly. So, a gap emerges where meaningful connections long to bond specifically over these outliers rather than despite them. Yet as the Stoics understood, limiting beliefs erect barriers where few inherently exist. Just because the odd birds currently flock alone does not make them unworthy of camaraderie. In fact, some of history's most revolutionary minds bonded over outside-the-box affinities that mainstream perceptions discounted until eventually exalted. There is space yet for those who color outside conformist lines. If seeking kindred spirits specifically pertaining to niche interests, stretch beyond geographical constraints towards online communities, connecting those celebrated their shared adoration elsewhere awaiting digital camaraderie. Or indulge inquisitive dabbling towards adjacent alt subcultures where affiliates would enjoy, rather than mock your unconventional know-how. The friends perfectly matched to your wavelength may be merely a forum, meetup, or pen pal away. Number 5. Prefer to keep to themselves. Some individuals genuinely lack active social circles because they inherently prefer their own company to constant companionship. Whether stemming from introverted temperaments valuing solitude or past drama, weathered making them wary about trusting others deeply, they carry no latent longing for endless friendships. They contentedly attend films alone, dine just with a book, explore new cities on intimate terms with only their thoughts. For them, friendlessness signals neither flaw nor misfortune, simply alignment with non-social priorities suiting their lifestyle best. Now society often wrongly pathologizes such self-selected seclusion as pathology, equating isolation with bleak loneliness rather than choosing enrichment on one's own terms. But the Stoics knew the fallacy and perceived binary extremes. In fact, they championed the middle path, merging occasional solitude's insights with caring community to nurture fullest lives. As Aurelius declared, the ideal person is self-sufficient, yet they need friends. Tranquil islands remain connected under sea, so those craving little company are not inherently loveless recluses nor social butterflies vainly flitting about. They simply embrace times of intentional privacy beyond surface assumptions. And even confirmed hermits still require emergency crews, heartfelt exchanges, shoulders to lean on amid life's unpredictability. If current contentment prevails, then respect such solo sailors charting their course. Not all who wander are lost. There are as many paths to fulfillment as souls treading them. Number 6. Lack social intelligence. Without this innate radar, nerves may run high, worrying they'll accidentally offend someone or embarrass themselves by missing a sensitive cue, then overanalyzing every interaction afterwards. Over time, repeatedly feeling outnumbered or outwitted in the ambiguous rules of casual banter can undermine confidence, engaging further out of a sense of failure. Though determination persists because companionship matters greatly behind walls of uncertainty and inadequacy constructed by past experiences and limiting beliefs about capabilities. However, the Stoics held wisdom, declaring, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Perceived obstacles offer opportunities, restructuring limiting social narratives. Masterclasses, support groups, and dialectical behavioral therapy exist to help decode interpersonal mysteries, and embracing neurodiversity expands normal, allowing diverse perspectives dignity to process uniquely. While organic chemistry eludes some, with coaching and removing self-judgment, fulfilling bonds can gradually develop on new terms through finding like-spirited communities. All beings inherently seek belonging and bond through expressing care. Focus on common ground connections through listening, authenticity, and laughter, helping differences dissolve. There are infinite seats waiting at the table should one wish joining while being patiently and compassionately themselves. Number 7. Are independent. Some possessing just a handful of close friendships nurture this intimate inner circle deliberately because they are fiercely independent spirits who prioritize self-reliance over continual company. They celebrate the arts of enjoying their own space, source of entertainment, preferred pastimes, and personal growth trajectory, without requiring others to occupy their time constantly. These autonomous souls savor preparing meals, taking solo mini breaks, and taking quiet hikes immersed in nature's introspective beauty. They've weathered enough seasons to know themselves profoundly and feel secure in their capabilities to withstand life's ups and downs independently if needed, having leaned solely on their grit during previous pivotal chapters while emerging stronger. As Epictetus wrote, this sort of self-selected solitude should never be carelessly pathologized. Do not try to seem wise to others. If you want to live a good life, live in secret. Emotional freedom necessitates blocking out others' perceptions about your chosen insularity. However, even the most stalwart lone wolf craves hearty camaraderie now and then. Their intimacy avoidance shields wounds, not indifference. And during crisis, isolation drops harshly. Reaching out matters most. So they secretly treasure their ride or dies despite acting self-sufficient in day-to-day matters. Number 8. Have low self-esteem. For some individuals struggling socially, pervasive low self-esteem and lack of confidence can prove crippling forces, severely limiting their willingness to connect more openly with potential new friends. Their inner critic rebukes them as too boring, awkward, or lacking social capital for others to willingly befriend among endless preferable options. So from the margins of social groups and gatherings, they resign, anticipating inevitable rejection or judgment were they to risk venturing beyond walls of self-doubt, constructed from past emotional wounds, trauma, or limited positive affirmation in early chapters, planting seeds of self-perception. As such, those hindered by flagging self-confidence often isolate further to avoid the perceived humiliation of trying and failing spectacularly to attract meaningful companionship. Yet in truth, our culture's narrow social hierarchies teach little about real friendship's foundations. As the Stoics understood, bonding through care, not credentials or gregariousness alone, creates the spice of rapport. Number 9. Have trust issues. Once stripped soul bare before those who weaponized or dismissed such grace, they resolved never again would naivete blind them to darkness masquerading as light in human connection. Now thick armor shields from further wounds. Yet the Stoics knew isolation's fallacy. No man as an island flourished separated entirely from mainland society and succor when storms wear one's edges. As Aurelius observed, what we need to learn is how to welcome and gracefully receive help when offered. For cordoning off to self-protect cuts one off from joy's wellspring too. In intimate spaces, avoiding hurt means avoiding growth and care's soul alchemy. True courage is not invincibility, but opening each petal again after winter's crush. To begin anew, make small talk with strangers, observing who merits more. Recognize wiring self-sabotage to expect the worst often manifests precisely that. Healing past hurt asks gently trusting again while establishing boundaries, not barriers, against all garden growth. Patience works miracles, as do the right medicinal friendships entering on tiptoe where they warrant it. Number 10. Work, family, school, and hobbies. Just sustaining life's breakneck treadmill on minimal sleep abandons them barely time to nourish basic wellness, much less expend emotional bandwidth beyond superficial social media double taps. Still, pangs of loneliness and nostalgia resurface during rare pockets of solitude. Their soul seeks kindred connection, but securing daily bread takes pressing precedence. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, divide each difficulty into as many parts as is feasible and necessary to resolve it. For these burnt-out souls stretched severely beyond capacity, befriending again may necessitate restructuring lifestyle circumstances before fostering new bonds. Consider leveraging productivity tools to reclaim margin space for bonding, or schedule the same dedication towards checking in with friends as other wellness pillars, until equilibrium restoring rest, play, and deeper relating returns. With radical self-compassion, recognize seasons of isolation born from noble causes still deplete essential nutrients forging camaraderie provides. Once adequate resources secured, purposefully plant seeds that only bountiful personal time allows to bear fruit. Then patiently tend the garden, welcoming long-lost laughter and intimacy. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Gracefully receive support when the heaviest lifting concludes. All journeys circle towards belonging in the end. Number 11. Are dealing with illnesses. In the throes of such punishing illnesses, victims often withdraw from once cherished community events and former intimates during extensive chapters focused solely on crisis survival. The outside world grows muted and distant, while navigating relentless symptoms, treatment plans, and managing basal functioning through turbulent biological and neurological distortions. As Epictetus underscored, such isolation stems from no moral failing, but simple human suffering. Yet the lonely estrangement still haunts during lighter interludes eager for empathetic company. Long separation from kindred spirits breeds hunger for emotional renewal and rich conversation, where others deeply know and nurture your complex story. Healing from physiologically induced isolation requires compassion and slowly kindling the internal spark relighting capability to meaningfully engage over time as symptoms abate. Attempting friendship before internal stability risks rejection's secondary wounding, but through compassionate self-care and perhaps support groups nurturing reciprocal understanding, those recovering from punishing diseases can rediscover authentic belonging once heads surface above the waves. Take heart. The isolated chapters never last forever. Just brace through the storms until your fleet returns to welcoming shores. Number 12. Have poor conversational skills. Without grasp of unspoken dynamics enabling rewarding bonds, naivety and good intentions alone cannot summon relationships, where significant aspects of relating remain mysterious or intimidating. Well-meaning gestures may even backfire inadvertently or mask insensitive faux pas, so seeking safe harbors from judgment, many withdraw rather than weather criticism over what they cannot intuitively grasp. Yet as the Stoics counseled, one needn't remain eternally confined by current knowledge gaps or inexperience, navigating tricky social terrain. Even emotional intelligence may be nurtured over time by those committed to growing through teaching, therapy, and conscious modeling of pragmatic kindness. To shift limiting paradigms, embrace a beginner's mindset through joining groups teaching interpersonal techniques. Lean into supports, scaffolding self-improvement. Permit yourself mistakes while learning rather than self-loathing. And extend the same grace towards others' social unease that you crave for your own. Meet each moment with patience and compassion, for lasting change unfolds gradually, then blooms exponential wonders when the student is ready. You hold more capability connecting than yet realized. This can be your season harvesting meaningful camaraderie if willing to take one courageous step forward. Number 13. Are healing from a recent relationship. In the rawest phases immediately preceding separation from lover or lifelong companion, triage self-protection eclipses capacity imagining receptivity towards newcomers. When a stalwart oak to lean upon suddenly uprooted or decayed foundation beneath familiar rooms causing evacuation, one requires long seasons rebuilding stable infrastructure again before entertaining guests. As Epictetus emphasized, rupture's initial isolation protects the wound from callous irritation rather than reflects some personal deficiency. Let attention heal fresh and battered terrain first. Drink nourishment slowly. Allow stillness for taking inventory of inner assets surviving the demolition. Then patient clearing of debris makes space eventually for approved architects and decorators envisioning new possibility. Nothing can restore the majesty of original bonded towers. Yet in time, careful construction of humble abodes with wise master craftsmen willing can reclaim hearth and home's warmth. Security requires correcting the structural flaws enabling violation, then fortifying different designs made to weather, cherish, and shelter inhabitants in storm-proof ways. Patience allows for rainbows even after raging floods. New life rising from ashes merely takes some vision, time, and care. Number 14. Prefer quality over quantity. These selective syndromes of sincere introverts crave lasting bonds forged through shared history, vulnerability, and reciprocal personal growth nearly impossible to foster en masse. They shudder reaching beyond known inner circles where trial and error vetting risks wasted time or emotional sabotage. So they shelter their tender spaces for proven steadfast allies, rather than flooding fairly acquaintances' access into sacred places reserved for ride or dies. As Aurelius mused, true friendships thrive by asking much of each other with expectations for accountability, caretaking, and unconditional support during life's turbulent seasons. Such prosperity springs from nurtured roots tangled deep, then weathering in tandem, not surface-level pleasantries. For those who desire intimate social nourishment in homeopathic, not flooded doses, seek kindred guardians who mirror intentionally curating soul ties over playing popularity contests. Still properly vet by observing consistency and integrity over time before fully unveiling your royal purse. Patience allows character revelation and incremental disclosure to verify worthiness. But once sealed, loyalty lasts lifetimes. Depth over all else is the discerning introvert's way. Their chosen circle may be small, but bonds feel oceans deep, fortressed and cherished, and that veritable fortress stands mightily. Number 15. Have very high standards. Whether due to niche cultural values, esoteric interests, introverted dispositions, craving depth not small talk, or previous profound bonds spoiling them for anything less than soul symmetry, they struggle finding cohorts matching intricacies of their temperament and lifestyle. Through no bitterness but simply self-awareness of social appetites, they know superficial exchanges generally leave them hungry. As Epictetus advised, rather than resenting oneself for such sensitive discernment amongst potential friends, recognize narrowity signifies awareness of needs and worth, not impossible expectations. You know false gold's hollow ring, so tolerate no flashy pyrite friendships dulling amid fickle friction. Your few cherished gems, bright enough reflecting your radiant spirit back, assuredly await somewhere. Just more niche excavation required unearthing their gleam. In the meantime, embrace contented seasons alone to immerse fully in solitary passions without compromise. Here awaits abundant joy and adventures requiring no company. When thirst finally arises, plant seeds in select unrushed soil using discretion, a gardener nourishing blossoms where they organically occur. Patience allows destiny tying you to aligned souls, equally finding harmonious refuge. Your people make footprints, eventually crossing in ordained timing. But first, tend glorious gardens independently, until then without shame. The promise of new communities flickers over horizons once your stare no longer strains so hard seeking. If you are listening to this, thank you for staying till the end. If you feel any of these Stoic lessons resonated with you today, feel free to start a Stoic discussion in the comments. I welcome Stoic discussions, as they are what the great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca advised for. As we stated before, if you're interested in Stoicism and self-improvement through the great Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, then our Stoic newsletter, which you can join in the description, is perfect for you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, and if you want more content like this, subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you find peace and serenity in the Stoic ways.